Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Unknown Armies role-playing game, Book 1, Play. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this occult role-playing game, where the characters fight the status quo while trying to achieve their own methods through occult means, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the abilities. But before we continue, I would like to talk about this channel's sponsor, Heroes and Hardships. This is a universal RPG system, allowing you to play any sort of campaign, story, adventure. You can also create any sort of character imaginable. You have hundreds of tools to assist you with that. I'm going to put a few links in the description that will take you to the Kickstarter, to the website, the Tetsubo section of the website, which is an upcoming setting for Heroes and Hardships, inspired by Japan's Sengoku era. You are also going to find the Discord, links to my reviews of the Quickstart guide, the Wallace campaign setting, based on the life and exploits of William Wallace, and you will also find my ongoing review of the early access version of the core rulebook, so please check it out. Now let's continue. When it comes to abilities, there are certain expectations of people based on how much suffering they have endured. Many folks transcend their pain, but the fact is that people who have undergone few shocks in their lives aren't well equipped to stay unchanged when they confront something that's outside their experience. People who have a lot of hardened notches have waded through so many slings and arrows that the little stuff just bounces off them. But here's the thing about people with lots of hardened notches. When something does challenge them, it's more likely to really hurt. Every hardened notch erodes your ability to get more hardened notches in a different meter. And when you face something you can't ignore and don't have the innocence left to accept, it breaks you. Moreover, there are 10 abilities derived from your hardened and opened notches on the shock gauge. There are Upbeat Abilities, which are Connect, Knowledge, Fitness, Notice, and Status, based on open notches, of course. Someone who has led a sheltered or cosseted existence is likely to excel at these things. They are the rewards society provides to those who color within the lines. Now, when it comes to downbeat abilities, which are Dodge, Lie, Pursuit, Secrecy, and Struggle, they are what people necessarily develop to survive outside the warmth of society's protective campfire. Which are better or more powerful? Whichever one you happen to need right now. Let's talk about the Upbeat Abilities category. The good news about Upbeat Abilities is that they never drop below 20%. Your ability to form emotional bonds, trust your own education, and maybe shake off the flu never bottoms out, no matter how much of a leathery, burnt-out shell you become. These abilities have a percentile rating of 20% plus 5% for every open notch on the corresponding meter. If you have 7 open notches in violence, your Connect ability is rated at 55%. You could also look at it as being 65% minus 5% per hardened notch. The math is identical. It's right there on the character sheet. Your Upbeat ability score in any meter plus your Downbeat ability will always add up to 80%. Let me give you a couple of examples. You have Connect. How good are you at earning trust? Can you listen to people and hear what they really mean instead of what you think they mean? Are you willing to be vulnerable to build respect? Are you open, honest, and forthright with people? And does your courage and demeanor convey that? You roll Connect if you are trying to have an earnest discussion with someone, relatively unencumbered by manipulation and posturing. This is what you roll to be real and get real. It's based on your open notches in violence. If you get a fumble as a result, you really stuck your foot in your mouth. If you're trying to persuade someone of something quickly, you get frosted out and can't make any approaches for the rest of the scene, short of coercion. If you get a matched failure, if this is a short-term, one-off persuasion, you earned a hard no, unless they also had a matched failure and theirs was higher. If you roll a failure, For snap judgments, you simply don't get what you want unless their failure was worse than yours. If you obtain a success, if they just have to make a quick decision, they go along unless they obtained a superior success. If you get a matched success, it's the same as a success, only you beat any non-matched successes. If you obtain a crit, it's the same as a matched success, and if you have a relationship with this person, it increases by 5%. Connect this also what you roll to resist challenges to your isolation meter, should you face a stress check that's greater than your number of hardened notches. Then we have fitness. Do you live right, get plenty of rest, exercise frequently but in moderation, and avoid liquor and fatty foods? If you need to hike through the woods in the rain without getting sick, or climb a steep wall, or drag a friend out of a wrecked ambulance, then fitness is what you roll. If you obtain a fumble, ouch, you wiped out and not only failed at what you were trying, you made it worse. If you obtain a matched failure, you not only fail at whatever physical feat you were attempting, you kind of look weak or foolish in the attempt. If you obtain a failure, you may have come close, but you didn't get there. If you obtained a success, you accomplished whatever athletic or barf resistance goal you were pursuing. If you roll a matched success, you not only got it done, you looked kind of sexually desirable while doing it. If you rolled a crit, crushed it. You not only got your task accomplished, possibly even making it look easy, you wowed everyone watching, if anyone was. Fitness is also what you roll to resist stress checks on the violence meter. Now let's talk about downbeat abilities. Being good folks contributes to health, social and emotional attachment. So what does that make people who are flinchy, deceitful and sneaky? The compassionate view is to say they've had a lot of shocks in their life and have had to adapt to them. Downbeat abilities are the ones you rarely wake up hoping you need to use today. Downbeat abilities have a percentile rating of 15% plus 5% per hardened notch, which means they start at 20% because of the hardened notch everyone starts with on all shock meters. You can also quickly determine your downbeat percentile rating by subtracting the upbeat rating from 80%. To put it in another way, upbeat abilities are the toolkit for getting you through life, but downbeat abilities are the duct tape and wire of quick fixes and rushed jobs. But sometimes it's more important to win than to be congratulated on a good game. Let me give you a couple of examples. You have secrecy. Sometimes you've got to hide yourself away, or you have to hide something precious and secret that other people wouldn't understand. Sometimes you are the hiding place for knowledge that most people can't fathom and wouldn't like if they could. So with this you can hide yourself and objects as well as information. Unless you have an identity with the use gutter magic feature, secrecy is what you roll when you're trying to bruise reality with improv magic. Secrecy is based on hardened notches in the unnatural. If you roll a fumble, if you are trying to hide yourself or an object, it's pretty obvious. Enticing, really. If you roll a matched failure, you fail to hide unless the seeker gets a higher matched failure. If you obtain a failure, your concealment failed unless the searcher got a matched failure or their failure was higher. If you obtain a success, if you were hiding, you hid, though you might still get spotted if the seeker rolls a higher success or gets a match or crit. Maybe you obtain a matched success. Whatever you're hiding, it can only be spotted by a higher matched success or a crit on notice. If you roll a crit, you're like a ninja who owns the night. Even if the other fellow rolls a 1 also, the best that he or she can get are some tracks or clues about who you are, not whatever is hidden. Then we have struggle. Struggle is kick, bite, punch. It's wildly thrown elbows and thrashing. It's grabbing the guy around the waist and throwing yourself to the ground, hoping to land on him. Struggle is head-on butting, shrieking, and a willingness, even an eagerness, to get your thumbs in the eyes of your opponent. Roll struggle to make attacks with your weaponized body and raw anger, or to use basic weapons where it's clear how you mangle someone with it. Struggle is based on hardened notches in violence. It does not let you make sensible attacks with firearms. If you pick up a gun to just spray and pray, you can attempt suppressive fire with your struggle ability. If you obtain a fumble, you fail your attack and very much look like a violent buffoon. If you obtained a matched failure, you miss and whoever you try to hit is now sure you were seriously trying to do harm. If the opponent immediately counterattacks, the next roll to hit you gets a bonus. If you roll a failure, you miss. But if this was your opening move, it's just barely possible that you can pass it off as a very weird joke. If you get a success, you hit. If you are using a hand weapon, you did damage. But if you are attacking with your bare hands, you do damage equal to the sum of the dice. If you roll a matched success, you hit hard. If you are using a weapon, it does damage equal to the result. So you potentially deal more damage. If you score a crit, if you are using your bare hands, you have a choice. You can kill the target dead, assuming it's something vulnerable to physical damage, either with a lucky shot or by just meaning it hard enough to grab someone by the head and break their neck like a dinner chicken. Or you could choose to knock out your opponent. If you are using a weapon, the adversary is simply dead. And these are just a few examples of the upbeat and downbeat abilities. This concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about relationships. I really like the balance of a jaded and more innocent character, or rather a character with some aspects to him or her that are a bit or perhaps plenty hardened. Maybe there are some other aspects to that character that are a bit more soft. So it's all about a balance, not trying to fall into extremes. You never know when you need to fight a bit dirty or do some Machiavellian plays. And in other circumstances, it's much better to be as unique and genuine as possible. It's all about love and hate. Preserving your innocence and other times losing it altogether. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.